Hello guys, welcome back. This is going to be a very quick market review for next week, for this coming week, a week starting Monday 28th of August through Friday September 1, 2023. So this is a market review for this week. As you all know, I love starting with the dollar index because this gives me an insight on what most other currencies are going to do. We mentioned what this point is for last week. This is a weekly fair value gap that we hit last couple of weeks, and then since then we've been seeing an expansion to the upside. Now this was a discount array for the dollar index, so the market will always look for ways to move from discount to premium. Right now, are we at premium? Yes, but are we done with our direction where we're headed to in the dollar index? I do not think so. Why? Because this coming week I'm expecting price to take out this buy side, this very high. I'm expecting an expansion to the upside to take out this buy side liquidity for the weekly time frame. Yes. Now for the daily time frame, I'll quickly go down to the daily time frame. Okay, let me zoom in a bit. Okay, now for the daily time frame, we want to see an expansion. This is the weekly buy side liquidity we mentioned. For the daily time frame, we still want to see an expansion that will take out this very high that we saw on the weekly time frame. Now for this to happen, I would actually love to see price come back down a bit, trade down to this volume imbalance. A volume imbalance is when we have two candles, we have a gap between two candles where the close of candles 1 and the open of candles 2, there is an overlap. So this very gap here is called a volume imbalance. So this is a real liquidity gap. We expect price to come trade into it so that we'll see fair value before moving to the upside. Maybe trade down to this other block here, but ultimately this coming week I'd love to see price take out this buy side liquidity right here. So that's for the dollar index. Now euro dollar, forex.com. Let's move to the weekly time frame. For the euro dollar, remember what we look for in price is premium to discount, discount to premium. We were in premium when we hit this weekly volume imbalance here weeks ago, and then our next and closest objective was the next weekly PD array. So after hitting that premium in our weekly time frame in euro dollar, our next weekly PD array was this fair value gap right here. If you've been watching my other videos, you know what a fair value gap is. A fair value gap is when we have three candles 1, 2, 3, and then we have a gap between candles 3 and candles 1. Look at the wicks of candle 3 and look at the wicks of candle 1. They are not overlapping, so this gap is called a fair value gap. So in price, when we have fair value gaps in premium and in discount areas, we want to see price gravitate to this area. And last week when we had this price action, I clearly stated that I would like to see price trade into this fair value gap, and that's exactly what we saw this week. Now, has the objective been realized? Yes, partially. So what are we looking for this coming week? Well, gun to my head, I'll still prefer lower prices for the euro dollar because we're expecting higher prices for the dollar, and then I'm going to expect price to trade at least to this last down candle or take out this sell side. So whichever the case, I'm expecting lower prices. Either we trade down to this down close candle, or we take out this sell side liquidity for the daily time frame on euro dollar. This is for the weekly. The daily charts, euro dollar. Okay, so this is our daily chart for euro dollar. Okay, so now we have our weekly fair value gap, which is this pink shaded area. For the daily chart, I would love to see price expand to the downside as well, maybe down to this down close candle, or rip out this sell side liquidity that we've seen on the weekly time frame. So euro dollar, I'm more likely bearish this coming week. Let's look over to GBPUSD. We always use the forex.com server. Okay, we go over to the weekly time frame. So here's our weekly chart for the pound dollar, which is the GBPUSD. I'll quickly zoom in so that we'll see clearly. So over the past few weeks, after hitting this weekly bearish order block, you can expand your chart and see where this price is. Look at the right hand side of the chart, 1.31011. You can expand to the right and see where exactly we hit on the weekly time frame. That was a premium array. So after hitting this, we were expecting lower prices, and last week we had this price action here, and I told you that I would love to see these equal lows taken out, and I would love to see this sell side taken out down to the consequent encroachment of this week. Consequent encroachment is the midpoint of a long week, which is this point. Now we took out the sell side here, we took out the sell side here, and we were just close, very close to the consequent encroachment of this week. Now what am I expecting this coming week? Well, because I'm bullish in dollar, I'll also love to see lower prices to trade down to at least this last down close candle, which is a bullish order block for the pound dollar. Daily time frame. Okay, now for GBPUSD on our daily time frame, let me quickly push this out. For our daily time frame, here was the weekly consequent encroachment that we were expecting price to trade to, but then there is a bullish order block here, and the midpoint of it is called the mean threshold, and we see exactly how price respected it right here. Look at the midpoint. So now I'm expecting GBPUSD this week for price to expand, maybe up to the upside a little, the midpoint of this week or the midpoint of this week, and then rally down, take out this consequent encroachment of the week, and eventually trade below this low here, which is this last close candles, three of them, the mid threshold. So I'm expecting lower prices for pound dollar this coming week. And then finally, we want to talk about the USD CAD. Weekly time frame. Okay, so here I've not done analysis for this before on YouTube, but I've been looking at this pair. So weeks ago we traded down to this weekly bullish order block. Look at how we respected it, and then we saw an expansion to the upside. Now what was the objective? this last up close candle, but now I'm looking way above this because I'm bullish in dollar index. I would love to see price take out this buy side. This is a weekly buy side, so I'd love to see price expand above this very candle this coming week. But how do we achieve that? Now there is a weekly volume imbalance here, just like we saw on dollar index. There is a weekly volume imbalance here. A volume imbalance is when we have two candles, we have the close of this candle and then the open of this candle, but there is a gap between the close and the open. So there is a void, a liquidity void in here. So how do we use this for our trading? We want to go down to our daily time frame for the USD Canadian dollar. Daily time frame. Now for our daily time frame, we can see that previously there was a fair value gap here. A fair value gap is when we have three candles, 1, 2, 3, and we have an expansion with the second candle where the first candle wick, lower wick, and the third candle upper wick does not overlap. There is a gap, so that's a fair value gap. So now whenever we trade above a fair value gap, usually we see fair value gaps as a point where we see price respect. If we do not respect it, we're supposed to come back, respect this other block, this fair value gap rather, and trade below. But since we are not respecting it, whenever we trade above it and close above the fair value gap, we usually expect to see price come back down, respect the fair value gap, which we will now call an inversion fair value gap, and expand to the upside. So this is acting as a real support and resistance. Once it's broken, it acts as resistance. So in this case, once you see price expand above, we saw price closing above the fair value gap right on this candle, and then the next candle expanded above. So now we would like to see price come back down and trade to at least the top of the fair value gap, and at the same time, this is the weekly volume imbalance we saw on our weekly time frame that we marked out. This very lines, they are the weekly volume imbalance. So at the same time, we're trading back to this volume imbalance, we are trading back to the fair value gap as well. And then once we see that happen, maybe trade down to this last close candle, we'll have to see an expansion up above the buy side, which is noted with this orange marked line, which is the weekly time frame buy side liquidity. I'd love to quickly go back to the weekly time frame so that you see what I'm talking about. So this is the weekly time frame. We'd love to see price come back in here. At the same time, we have our volume imbalance for the daily time frame, and then expand up above this weekly buy side. I hope you find this really insightful. If you have not subscribed already, I'd like you to subscribe to my channel so that you won't miss any new videos I have that will be coming up next. And like, share, and subscribe. And until I talk to you next time, I wish you good luck and be safe.